Hello and welcome to another episode of the Golden Boots podcast. This is your host, Jorge Gonzalez. Our podcast is all about soccer, all things soccer. We love soccer. For episode 31, we have Titus Sandy. Titus is originally from the Charlotte area. He plays at Clemson now. He's going into his second year. Titus, how are you today, my man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, my man. Gotta say, I love your name, bro.
Thank you, man. I'm a junior, so got it from my dad.
Okay,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Do you have any nicknames for your name or no?
Well, my parents call me TJ for Titus Jr.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Who else calls you TJ?
My close friends call me TJ too.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, nice, man.
Yeah.
So we know how to distinguish them when they call you.
Yeah.
Nice, man. How's your summer treating you so far?
It's good. I'm chilling. I'm taking about a week, 2 weeks off, and then I'm gonna start grinding again. So.
Okay, nice, man. Awesome. Well, our podcast, we like to bring in different people from the area to kind of talk a little bit about their experiences, them playing soccer. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so I grew up in Charlotte. I've lived here my whole life. I started playing soccer when I was around 4 years old.
Okay.
And I hated it. I could not stand it. I mean, I was in a little mini camp for 4 or 5 year olds, and we just did drills, and I just could not stand it. Oh my God. But then around 2 years later, when I was like 6 or 7, I grew an interest to it, and I started playing a lot more. And
why were they doing so many drills for 4-year-olds?
That's what I'm asking. You know what I mean? I was like,
bro,
oh my gosh.
that camp they're like, we're getting D1 players out of here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was at the Y, and they were doing this. I was like, oh my God.
All the other kids are having fun, and y'all are like 4-year-olds.
Can you imagine? But yeah, but like I was 6 or 7, and I was like, oh, let's try this again. And I was pretty fast for my age.
Okay.
So I used my speed pretty much. When I got the ball, I'd just pass it around someone, shoot, score, and I was like, okay, this is kind of fun now. And now I kind of like this.
Nice.
So yeah, and then pretty much I started kind of growing a love for the game. I started watching YouTube videos of Ronaldinho, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, this is kind of like what I want to do now. And I think when I was around 9 or 10, I started taking it a little bit more seriously.
Okay.
I was starting to play for CSA, Charlotte Soccer Academy. And after training sessions, I would go for like individual sessions with, I don't know if you know Coach Daka, Patrick Daka.
I don't.
Yeah, well,
I've heard of him.
Shout out Daka.
All right, shout out Daka.
But yeah, I used to start taking it a little bit more seriously, and my dad would pay for these private lessons just to like get my technical ability to start getting that up. And then like 2-3 years later, I made DA.
Okay,
and
nice.
I played DA for about 5 years.
Okay.
And I mean, I just started like, this is what I wanted to do with my life. You know, this is where I can see myself playing professionally, you know. So, I mean, I was a little scrawny, skinny kid, still kind of am. But I'd start taking it really seriously. I'd go to the gym, you know, I'd work out by myself, you know, because I was like, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? So
Love that, bro.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the specialized training versus just general training a little bit, because I mean that I think is very a tool that's underutilized. Like, people don't understand, like, okay, like a coach has to see everybody, right?
Exactly.
But then when you get these one-on-one lessons, it's a little bit more like, okay, like the full attention is on you.
Exactly. I mean, it was great to kind of, even when I had questions or if I was doing something wrong, you know, just have someone there to teach me what to do. And some of the drills that we would do on our own, I'd go home and I'd do the same drills. You know what I mean? And I saw a huge improvement as that continued. So it helped tremendously.
Dang, that's good, man.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to like put in the extra effort, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's very important to do things behind closed doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And starting off, I started off on a team where everyone was better than me. Everyone was better than me. I was always the fast kid, but everyone was better than me, technical wise.
Okay.
And I start doing this training, and you see a huge improvement, and I start surpassing some of these people. You know what I mean? So I mean, it helps. It helps.
I
a lot.
love that, bro.
Yeah.
I love that because, like, I mean, like, you're honest with yourself at where you're at.
Yeah.
And understand that you can improve, right?
Yeah. Especially at such a young age.
Yeah.
It's always good to kind of know where you're at, know where you want to be, and strive for that. So it's great.
I love that. Well, what other things did you do when you were in DA?
Yeah. So DA, tactical wise, it helped a lot. I had phenomenal coaches, Coach Brad, Coach Gummer, Coach Ray. I mean, they all helped me on my game. It helped me market myself. and it also helped me just to be competitive.
Okay.
It really, I've always been a competitive person.
Okay.
You can ask my father. I mean, we'd like do mini games in the house, and I'd like always try beating him. You know what I mean? So that DA definitely helped kind of showcase my ability, showcase my competitive side.
Okay.
And my junior year, that was kind of like the year where Clemson, I caught their eye. And,
Okay.
I mean, it was a dream come true. You know what I mean?
I love that, man.
It was a dream come true. I had a couple other offers my junior year, but you can't turn down Clemson.
100%, man.
So I mean, I love the decision I made, and yeah, it's awesome. So.
Nice. I love that. Tell us a little bit more about like that competitive side of you, because I think like you seem like just a very like chill guy. Like even before here, you were talking about okay, your favorite type of pizza is cheese pizza. Like
yeah. I mean,
but like, are you different on the field? Like,
yeah,
okay,
when I step over that line, you know, it's like I need to become a beast. You know what I mean? Like I need to beat my opposition, whatever it takes. You know, and I think that's what makes someone great. You know, having that hunger, having that desire to do whatever it takes to win.
100%.
You know, and I think that's a quality that I see that I have in myself.
Yeah. Why do you think you have that? Is that something that you've always had, or something that you push yourself to? Because I mean, like, I think I read a stat: less than 2% of people go from high school or from, you know, a club to D1 sports. I mean, that's a very small percentage, man.
Yeah.
So it takes a certain mentality to get there. Was that something that you've always had, or something that you developed?
A little bit of both, you know. I mean, I was taught that way. You know, both my parents kind of taught me the mental strength, you know. And even now I kind of take it with me to have that mental strength even as a freshman playing at Clemson, you know. We our Clemson team has talked about mental strength before, and kind of the way we describe it or define it as is being able to that developed edge that enables someone to cope better than your opposition. And that's kind of how I see it with, it's like,
I like that.
I'm going to cope better than my opposition, you know, through adversity, through anything, you know. I'm going to do something just as good, better than my opposition, you know.
That's
what
good,
that
bro.
mental strength is, yeah.
I love that. Yeah. It's kind of like I've heard before, like, someone else got dealt the same deck of cards that you did in your life, but some people choose to win with them and some people don't. You know what I'm saying?
I like that a lot, yeah.
Because there's probably somebody that was similar to you, but they just didn't push or didn't strive enough,
exactly,
right?
And that's what it takes sometimes. It just takes that extra push, you know, to kind of to be different than everyone else around
100%.
you.
100%. Nice. So tell us that transition to Clemson. How was that?
It was hard. Oh my God. It was everything everyone says it was. You know, it's very difficult being the youngest, sometimes being the smallest one in a different environment. You know, it's uncomfortable. But a thing that we say that our team has talked about is being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
That's good.
You know, yeah. So kind of you're in a new environment, especially during a pandemic. You know, it's like all the odds
That's a good point, man.
You know what I mean? It's like it's against you, and you have to be comfortable with it. You have to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for years to come. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to kind of play at this level, you know? So, just being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
I love that, bro. Being comfortable with the uncomfortable, especially, like, I think that threw a lot of people off, especially, like, a pandemic, right? Like, no one's experienced something like that, right?
It was so different, and it was hard, but big ups for our team. I mean, we came together and we said we have a goal to set out, and we're going to do whatever it takes to get to that goal.
I love that.
Yeah, so.
Nice. Tell us the biggest differences that you've seen, like, playing college soccer versus every other soccer that you've played.
So, in a general standpoint, probably the speed of play. The speed of play and the athleticism from these different players. I mean, everyone just, their passion to win, you know what I mean? But a huge thing that I saw that I've never seen before is everyone being team-centered. So it's kind of like doing whatever it takes to kind of put the team ahead of yourself.
Okay.
You know, I was injured for 6 months.
Okay.
So I didn't step on the field. But after a win, you'd think that, like, I scored a hat trick.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's not just me. It's everyone on the team, and I've never seen that before. You know, it's a kind of culture where it's like, if the team wins, I win. You know, it's not putting yourself ahead of anyone else. You know? So it's like after a win, everyone would be like yelling, like jumping, or like yes, like people would not step on the field. You know, your teammate would play the whole full 90, the same position as you. You wouldn't care. Clemson won. You know what I mean? Like you play for Clemson. You know, so I mean that's what I love, because previous teams, you know, you always will have someone that might be a little jealous or a little this, a little that, but Clemson, it's totally different, you know, and it's the maturity that like I love about it.
I love that. That's the perfect word, the maturity of it, you know.
Yeah.
Even like what you're talking about, like I remember watching the Euros a couple of years ago when like Ronaldo got injured in the final and he was screaming from the bench.
Exactly.
Like he was, but I'm like, bro, that's what it takes. Like if you don't know how to win or you don't understand the thought process of winners, that to you doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Right?
I love
but
it.
But like everybody that knows how to win understands that, right?
Exactly. Everyone on the team is all on the same page. They know what it takes to win, you know, and that's the kind of culture that Clemson has, and I love that.
Yeah, I love that, man. It's like you just put a whole bunch of wolves in like a cage, you know what I'm saying? And but like you understand how to work well with each other. What kind of things do you think people do to make sure that that team atmosphere stays cultivated? Because I think that's the hardest part to do. Like you can put a whole bunch of winners together. The hardest part to do is to keep them all focused on the same thing, you know?
Off the field is huge. I mean, we'll have practices where some people won't do as good, you know, and off the field, our captains will talk to them. We'll have meetings, you know what I mean? Just so everyone's on the same page. Everyone has the same idea, like we're sacrificing something for a bigger cause, you know what I mean? And that's what everyone's thinking, you know, and sometimes there's practices where you have to draw people in and you have to say, look, this is what we're doing. Everyone be on the same page. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And I mean, off the field, we do that a lot. So I
love that.
Yeah.
I also love that you guys like try to cultivate that family culture as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so huge. I've never seen so many people like sacrifice is a good word, but just give up for themselves for others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what it takes. Because when you're on the field, you know, you're going to fight for your brothers, you know what I mean?
100%, man.
And being on Clemson, it's like all of them are, after 1 year, all of them are brothers, you know?
Yeah.
I'd do anything for them, so that's the kind of culture we have.
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult in terms of, like, when you play a sport, especially D1, like, to be within that line where, like, you have players that want it all, right? Like, like, okay, like, we're going to win no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, it's almost interpreted as cocky, right? Or having too much ego when you're really good.
Yeah.
How do you stay within that line between you're not too arrogant, but you're also like, okay, like I came here to play?
Yeah, I mean, it's showing humility. We actually talk about that a lot because it's very easy to say we're D1, we're Clemson, we're number one in the nation at some points. Like, it's very easy, but it's showing the gratitude to others, you know, showing that you respect others. You know, we have people that come out and clean our facility, you know, just saying thank you, just stopping them saying, I appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Bro.
That kind of stuff is huge. It'll play a big part in the future, you know, so.
That is so good, bro.
It is.
Those minute details that people don't think important.
Exactly.
They're so huge,
man. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
It goes such a long way, you know, so.
Yeah, I think I love that also because it teaches you the value of appreciating everything. You know what I'm saying?
And our coach has told us that, like, sometimes he'll stop training sessions and like he'll tell us all to come in and he'll just be like, look at this, like just look at the field, look at the atmosphere, look at what you guys are given. You know, some people aren't as fortunate as us, so sometimes you just have to take a step back and be like, I have this opportunity.
Yeah.
Not many people do, you know. And when he says that, when I look at it like that, it's like, wow, like my goal is to become a professional soccer player, and I'm here right now. This is like the perfect step to the path to my dream, you know?
Yeah.
So like it's awesome. But that's sometimes what you have to do. Just take a step back and just appreciate everything.
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's something that I think that is lost now in the Instagram world, in the world that like everything is so instant gratification. Like, take a second to look and be thankful for the things that you have, right?
Exactly.
Like, even the country that we live in, yeah, it's not the greatest, but you know what? Like, there's people that are really suffering somewhere.
Yeah.
There's people that are waking up today and, like, they have to walk 2 hours to get water. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
like, and we just woke up and took a shower and, like, thought nothing of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And we have a lot of foreigners, too, that will come and they'll just remind us, too, because they might not be as fortunate as us, you know?
Yeah.
So with all of that, just everyone reminding each other to like just show gratitude, just show humility. It goes a long way.
I love that. What are some of the things that you've noticed with foreign players that you play with outside of that, the gratitude aspect?
Just the playing wise, just they're amazing.
No wonder he's here.
They are so good, but their passion is really, really good. I mean, you can learn a lot from them. They're very helpful, very helpful. If you ask them a question, they'll teach you anything. You know what I mean? Because they put the team forward again, like we say. Like they're really good at coming into. It's hard for them, they're coming to a different country, and sometimes you have to think about that. But
and a lot of times too with foreign players, I've had a chance to interview a couple. Like in some certain countries like Brazil, like you're getting trained to be a professional since you're like 12, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's a good point because their mentality sometimes might not be school. It's like, I'm going to be a professional, which you need.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
What I mean? And it's so cool to kind of see that, because then you're like, well, dang, yeah, so do I. Like, I want to be a professional too. Like, I want that same hunger that he has, you know what I mean? So it's nice. It's nice seeing that. I
love that, bro. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the mentality of a team that wins something. Because you guys did that recently, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of like the job's not done. It's like we're never finished. When we win something, we'll celebrate for like an hour and we'll say, okay, the next stop. You know what I mean? Becoming national champions. It's like you're never done with winning. You kind of get obsessed with it. And it's a great environment to be in.
I love that, dude. Yeah. Like you're never done winning. That's right, man. I think somebody said it before. Like the biggest enemy of future success is current success.
Yeah.
And like it took me a second to understand that, but I'm like, that's so true, bro. Because like when you're succeeding and when you're winning at a high level, it's so easy to get caught up in it.
So easy.
Like, yo, you're the best. Oh, you're playing at Clemson. Oh, this and that, right? But at the end of the day, like you have to understand to stay humble and stay hungry, right?
Yeah. There's like you're at like a peak, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there can be a downfall really easily if you guys start getting cocky, if you guys aren't team centered, but you kind of just have to put that upward spiral and be like, look, we came here for a job, we finished it, let's move on to our next task, And I think that's the winning mentality that we all have, and to play at the next level, you have to have too. So
100%.
Yeah.
What other tips would you give somebody that wants to play at the next level?
I'd probably just say mental strength again. If you ask a lot of athletes that they probably will say that. I mean, it takes when I was injured, I was in like a really bad place because just sitting down and watching my team play while I couldn't do anything, it was like I just want to quit, you know what I mean? But like you can't think that way, you got to be like, okay, 5-6 months from now, I'm going to be back on that field and I'm going to try my best, and I'm not only going to make myself better, I'm going to make the people around me better.
I love that.
And that's that mentality I had. It goes such a long way, just mental strength.
Yeah. I've had a couple conversations with a lot of people about that. It is so important, man. I'm glad it's talked more about now than it was before. Yeah. Because, I mean, like, that's what, like, makes, like, I've seen some elite athletes that play at the professional level. I'm like, bro, I've seen 10 players that are better than you.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, no one has the mentality that you have. That's one of the things that I love about Ronaldo. Like, no one can tell that man that Messi's better than him. Like, he genuinely believes that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, like, that's the level of, I don't want to say craziness, but, like, that's just how you have to be, bro.
No, I mean, that's what makes him unique. You know, you got to be like, I want it so badly that I'm going to do stuff that most people won't do.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up at 5-6 a.m. I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm going to work out. I'm going to come back, take a little break. Nope, I'm going to go back to the field. It's like certain things like that. It's like you might not want to do it, but it'll pay off in the long run, So it's just that hunger, that mentality, just to be a winner,
I love that, bro. Talk to us more about that injury period as well, because I think that's important. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, okay, like, I mean, I tore my ACL last year.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not a professional by any means, right? No, but, like, you kind of get a taste of, like, okay, like, this sucks.
Dude, I mean.
But, like, I can imagine, like, you at the level you're playing at, the people that you're around, the winners, like, it's like you see, I don't know, like, I like to describe it as, like, you see, like, all these desserts. I like food, right?
Yeah.
And like
Same.
you try to eat some, but it doesn't taste sweet, but it looks
Yeah.
so good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was, as soccer players, a day off soccer sucks, right?
Yeah.
Try months, and I mean, it sucked, but I mean, I had teammates asking me, "Are you good? Are you okay?" I had people, my family, asking me, just telling me like it's okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna come back better. And
Yeah.
I just kept telling myself that,
Yeah.
'cause,
That's self-talk, man.
yeah, and it helps so much because the injury happened out of nowhere. I had a stress fracture,
Okay.
and I played on it for 2-3 weeks
Ooh,
because I
okay.
thought it was shin splints.
Okay.
So I made it so much worse. I could have been back a lot sooner, but yeah, I mean, it just came so sudden, my freshman year. It's like I had this big thing planned for me. I'm going to get some time, going to get some minutes, maybe
Yeah.
even start one or two, and it just like all that crumbled.
Yeah.
So,
Man, that's a very good point, like, to take in. Like, sometimes you have these plans, sometimes you have these goals, right?
yeah,
And then boom, you get hit like just with a right hook that you weren't seeing coming, right?
yeah.
Like, it's your ability to take those moments and readjust to get better.
I love
you know?
that. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like it all just stops, and it's you're watching everyone play, and you're like, I wish I was out
Yeah.
there. I took this for granted. You know what I mean? So, kind of having that toughness to be like, this is what I want to do. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna play my game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play it to the best of my ability.
Nice.
You know.
So, if someone that, let's say, just got injured right now, what would be the first thing you would tell them?
The first thing I'd tell them is just to not worry. A lot of the times I was thinking about the future so much, and it just to just take it by stride. Don't rush it at all.
Yeah.
I came back from injury during the spring. 2 weeks in, I'm injured again.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad. Don't rush it, because I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you just take your time, you just let it all settle down. I mean, you're going to be back eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'd tell
I
them.
think that's the hardest thing to do, especially
hard.
like when you're a winner,
Oh my God. No, I mean, some of the drills they were doing, I was like, that's so much fun. I just want to get back out there. I'd tell my trainer, my physical trainer, I'd be like, I'm fine. Let me go out there right now. I'm fine. But like, it takes some sacrifice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. I love that, bro. Tell us a little bit more then in terms of like the some of the things that you've learned from your coaches. Like, I think that relationship is very difficult sometimes, especially like when you're working with a whole bunch of people that are great players.
Yeah.
But I feel like something that Clemson has done that you and Isaiah have talked about is just that culture. Like, what kind of things have you learned from coaches that you've applied to personally and professionally?
Yeah. So confidence is a huge thing,
Mm-hmm.
and just we have a saying that just to stay uncommon, just be unique, be different from others. And I learned so much from the coaches, like in a soccer standpoint, tactical wise, technical wise, but like there's some things like your mentality wise that it goes such a long way. Like even little things like after a practice session, I'd write things that I did good, I'd write things that I did bad. So next session, I can be like, okay, this is what I have to work on, and that goes such a long way.
100%,
And
bro.
that's something that I would have never thought of doing until I came here and was taught that, and that kind of helps me with, we have this thing where it's like you want to play with consistency and intensity, and that has to go hand in hand. You can be intense 2 days a week, 3 days a week. That's not gonna cut it for a game, Just like you can be consistent, but you can be consistently average. It's like having those two things hand in hand, and that's what I learned from being at Clemson too. It's like you need to have those two. You can have an off day sometimes. Everyone has off days.
100%, yeah.
But having those two hand in hand, that's something I learned very quickly. Because I'd have days where I'm playing really well, like I'm getting stuck in the tackles.
Bro.
You know what I mean? Next day, it's like I wasn't even there. And it's like you have to reflect on these things to learn to be consistently intense. So, yeah.
I love that, bro. Consistency and intensity.
Yeah, that's something I learned very quickly.
Yeah, I also love how like you took down what you did well and what you didn't and applied it the next game. I think that's something that, like, even if you don't play soccer, that's so important.
Yeah.
Like, reflect to readjust, right?
And I never used to think that at all. I was like, why would I? I've heard that before, you know, and I'm like, why would I do this? But I started seeing changes in my game.
Yeah.
You know, I started feeling a lot more confident because I knew what I had to work on.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself that in my head. So when game time came, I was like, okay, I know what I have to do, you know. So it goes a long way.
Yeah.
A long way.
I love that too. I mean, like, I think people don't understand. There's also like an organizational factor into that as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's that you have to have that to be successful at a very high level.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? You know?
So it's like creating kind of like habits, you know, like waking up and writing down something, or maybe after training, writing down something, you know, like that. Habits help a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And
so.
it's the small things, man.
The small, like, I mean, we emphasize it so much. Like, even the little things such as, like, picking up trash, you know, like, these little things help so much in the future, because that's how you get the edge on your opponents, you know what I mean? Things that they won't do that you will, you know? That's
100%. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about your position. So you've played center back and you play right back too, right?
Yeah. So I was recruited as a right back, right wing back.
Uh-huh.
And my freshman year, they put me center back, you know?
Okay.
And then this comes back to the being comfortable with uncomfortable, because I did not know what to do. I played center back maybe like 3 games my U16 year out of like the hundreds of games that I played. So I was like, oh, geez. And you have like one of the best attacking trios like running at you. You know what I mean? When we play a scrimmage. So it's like, oh, geez, like this is going to get some used to. But at the end of the spring season, I got it down packed.
Nice.
You know? I started having confidence in myself.
Yep.
You know, I was getting into tackles, you know, and it was good.
How do you adjust to a new position?
You have to be coachable. You have to be very coachable, because if you're not, like, you can just be benched right away. You know, it's a new position. You're not used to it. You have to take criticism very lightly. You know, you have to take and you have to say, okay, this is what I did wrong. This is how I have to learn. And you have to watch the game too, tactically. I mean, because sometimes I'd be very out of position for a center back. Man, I'd be like playing like a right back sometimes, and it's like, okay, Titus, like you have to dial in and you have to be like, okay, this is the new position. I got to learn this to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And whatever the coaches say, I do. Just be completely coachable about it. So,
yeah. That's so important, man, being coachable.
Being coachable goes a long way.
Yeah.
A very long way. I mean, when the coaches see that in a player, they automatically have respect for you.
Yeah, man.
You know, it shows that you have respect for them too.
Yeah. That's so good. That is so key. Like, that small things like that people don't understand, you know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, you can be a great player if you're not coachable.
It doesn't matter, bro.
It doesn't matter. You might not get in the game.
Yeah,
you know?
Who makes the decisions to go in? Your ego or the coach?
Exactly. I love that. Exactly. Exactly. Like, and at Clemson, a lot of times people will put the coaches first before their egos, and that's what makes us a good team.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's important, man.
It is very important.
Nice. What's been your most memorable moment so far in soccer?
Probably winning the ACC championship.
Okay. Describe that.
I had a boot on, right? I had a huge boot on, and we the whistle had just blown, and everyone was just running out, and I'm there limping with my boot on. So excited, man. Like, I didn't play a minute, and I am so excited. Everyone's like, ring season. Like, it's the best feeling ever, just to be a winner. You know what I mean? Because I love winning.
Yeah.
You know, and just being in that atmosphere where everyone's just celebrating. It's so memorable. I love it.
Love it. Man. I love what you said earlier too. Like, okay, like you win, but then like you get that feeling of winning, and you want to continue.
And you want to keep winning. You know what I mean? We celebrated that night. We were so thrilled. The next day we were like, okay, we're gonna come back for the spring season. We're gonna win again.
Nice.
You know, you can't just let go.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta keep at it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes winners.
I love that, bro. I think that's what makes elite winners. Because there's people that win every once in a while or have a big victory, right?
Yeah.
But I think, like, because, I mean, there's players that make it professionally, maybe a season or two, and then they go out, right?
That's so true, yeah. Just being a consistent winner, you know?
Yeah. And then there's people that just become, like, serial winners. Like, you think of, like, the Guardiolas, you think of the Ronaldos, the Messis, right? Where, like, they just maintain it at such a high level.
Yeah.
Something that's really impressed me, too, like, probably the last 10 years, like, players in their mid-30s or late 30s actually like still playing at the top level. Like
Yeah.
he's Zlatan at AC Milan. Lewandowski just broke the record of 41 goals, and
It's
I'm like, bro, he's
crazy.
like 35,
They're addicted to winning.
right?
They're addicted to it, and that's something that I'm trying to develop too. I mean, I've always kind of had it, but I just want to win. I want more and more, and I think if I can continue that mentality, I can be
That'll
really
take you
great.
a long way, bro.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Last question then to you would be, what advice would you give to up and coming soccer players?
Oof, that's a hard one. I'd say all the things that I just said, to be honest.
Just watch the whole episode.
No, but just take it all in, and just don't. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of pace yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of reel it back in and say, "This is why I'm here. I have to do these steps in order to achieve a goal." You know what I mean? Kind of take it step by step. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's kind of like, I like to think of it like engineering your success, right?
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yeah.
okay, this is the goal, but what do you have to do prior?
It's like
and
this
how do you
little
get there?
subcategories,
Right?
You know what I mean? It's like if you do everything just right, then your path to success is there.
Yeah.
You know, but if you kind of stray off on it, you know, it'll be a lot harder.
Yeah,
you know, so
man.
just staying intact with
Yeah.
that is huge.
Yeah.
Huge for young players.
Or even like I read a book once that talked about like Apollo, I think it was 18, that went from Earth to the moon. Like it was never designed to go straight from Earth to the moon in one stop, right? Like it was designed to get there, but like if it ever got off course, it would readjust itself to
so
make
good.
sure to get to the moon, right? I
Yeah.
think that's what success is as well, right? Like
Yeah.
you're at A and you see B, right? And sometimes like it's not a straight line. You have to readjust to get there.
There are a lot of readjustments, such as
Yeah.
my injury. You know, I have to
100%.
adjust, and I still have the same goal, the same mindset, the same path that I'm going to take to get there. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Titus, my man, thank you so much for coming on today.
thank you so much for having me. Had a blast.
Awesome.